All right. All right, the show's going to go live in a little bit here. Yeah, a few minutes. Gonna just let this music get going, and I'm gonna go ahead and get prepped for the show and livened up. I'll play another song here. Maybe, no, I don't know. Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, out there in YouTube Landis. Esta es Freeqo, and this is Freeqo Talks. This is the show where I talk about all of the news that I have aggregated throughout the day. And I have aggregated, well, let's just do what we're probably going to do at the beginning of each show. And that is, I'm going to go through the sites here, but let me get them lined up here because I want everything to be just perfect. Because I'm actually not a perfectionist. So the first one we're going to look at here is going to be Pioneering Newser. Pioneering Newser, this is tech, science, underground news type stuff. This is my favorite one. This is the one, if I had my druthers, I would just work on this one. But a lot more of the stories that you're going to see in this one. And then we get to our next site here, and that's going to be a Newsfile. You notice all of them have their own little themes, man? Like, I'm trying stuff, man. Just messing with stuff. I'm really trying to make a show that I would enjoy watching, pretty much, and listening to as well. Like, I would enjoy watching it, and then I would also, sometimes just enjoy listening to it. But, so we'll see how well I do with that. And then we get to our last one here, and so this is, I'm going to use this little thing here. This is my little transition here, so what I can do then is during this transition, I'm lining up the next site, and the next site in this case is Newslight. Now this says Newslight, news at a glance. I'm going to have to change this. I'm going to change this to something like the glitter and drama and weird, or something like that. I'm not sure, but basically this is like celebrities, sports, weird science stuff. Anyway, and what I go do is I mix up all the stories, and we'll see how this goes. So now all of this is just to prep you, because this is really not the actual beginning of the show. The beginning of the show does not begin until I get ready to actually start recording, because I'm going to put up I guess an edited version, so it won't have all this lead up to it, and it won't have the break that I have at the midway point either in it. But anyway, let's get ready, because I think make sure I got it lined up for the first one. Got the second one ready. I got all those ready. The only thing I need to stop you for now. There you go. I'm gonna stop you for now. Then I'm making sure I've got my tubification up should I need it. Alrighty then. Folks, we are literally about to begin our journey. Prepare yourselves, brace yourselves, put your hands on your buttocks and squeeze a little tight. Make sure that your arms and legs are inside the tube. You definitely want them inside the tube. All right. I'll stop this for a second. And so what I do is I start recording, and then I play the music, and then I do the introduction. So y'all get to hear that funs and stuff. All right. Here we go with that stuff. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freeqo Talks. I am Freeqo, and I talk. And it's Tuesday, November 15th, 2019. So, why don't we commence with the talking? We're going to look here at leading us off. Turkey takes fight against Kurdish fighters to Iraq as it struggles in Syria. This is from Newsweek. I'm not going to lie to you folks. When I saw that headline, I was like, that's a nice headline. Oh, yeah, this is where y'all see my bias coming through. Oh, yeah. The Turk Reich must be destroyed. Okay, so I have a bit of a bias. I have reasons for that. I won't get into all of it all in one show, so, you'll hear all that as we go along. Because I'm trying. Remember, folks, when you listen to a Freeqo show, the things that you are listening to, at any moment will Freeqo drop the expletive. The challenge is, remember, this is the scenario for all the shows. Some church folks says ho, and I'm a Christian, so this definitely is well in the realm of realistic. And they say, hey, brother, could you give me the news? And this is the news that I would give them, but I would give this news to anyone all across the board. So I'm just trying to use that as a way, because I'm not going to drop expletives, man. Although the first show I did drop an S, and I'm struggling. Because if I start dropping expletives, I will lose it, and then this will become Freeqo freaks out. So that's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to appease my church crowd, although I love you, brothers and sisters. But no, I'm doing it to keep the Freeqo freaks out in his, in his cage. We don't want that. We don't want that mess. And Turkey, definitely. Turkey is definitely one of those. That's why I'm talking about this right now. Because right now, I'm being led to just. The Turk Reich must be destroyed. Anyway, I won't rant about it. I think I already did enough of a rant. In an address to lawmakers of his ruling, I want you to notice the name of this party. Justice and Development, a.k.a. Party. Erdogan argued Tuesday that the YPG had not fully from border areas. Wait. Holy moly. Okay, never mind. Don't do it. Move forward. Had not fully, I guess, withdrawn from border areas as per the terms of Ankara's consecutive deals with Washington and Moscow. The Turkish president claimed that unfortunately the U.S. is also carrying out a patrol duty with this terrorist organization. Oh, nice. These guys, by the way, they do not pull punches. The Turks do not pull punches, man. You do not, I mean, you thought that Khashoggi guy, he had a horrible, horrible death in the hands of the Sads? Man, if you had your pick, you'd rather the Sads get a hold of you than the Turks. I'm just telling you. And when I say the Turks, I mean not the Turkish people. I'm only referring to the certain dynamic that is in charge and leading the Turkish people right now. That being the Erdogan set. And that Justice and Development Party. That's like the Justice Democrats. Interesting? Or merely coincidence? So the Turkish president claimed that okay, I already read that, and I gave it a little theater for you guys. So I'm not going to charge extra for that. The Syrian Democratic Forces have accused Turkey and allied Syrian insurgents of instigating aggression and of pursuing a policy of ethnic cleansing against local Kurdish. Yeah, that would be about. Keep it calm, old freakos. Come on. Keep it contained. Assad, too, has laid the blame on Erdogan, recently appealing for Kurdish forces to allow the return of at least limited government control in order to unite their efforts at defending the country's territory. All right. You know what? These are not stories that I'm going to talk long about when they're in this little set here, so move it on, sir. Move it on, sir. These are headline stories. These are like third-tier stories. I start off with the third tier stories because generally I put, these types of headlines. You start it off in the show, let's get it over with, but I try to give you headlines here that are not being so much talked about in other places as much. U.S. Admiral warning, although with some exceptions, U.S. Admiral warning about threat of Chinese aircraft carriers from China Mail. Hindustan Times reported on October 30 that the U.S. Pacific Fleet Chief, oh, by the way, this is China Mail, so this is Chinese government. This is Chinese propaganda. So I want you to, but you can still learn things from reading. So that's why I do feature Chinese propaganda. I feature other countries' propaganda, including American. So, I try to give you, in general, like most of these things, News 24. Now, I'm not sure about News 24, but I do believe that the French government does have some, that they're, But anyway, all of the major media are pretty much linked with government anyway, so they're almost all sort of, they're almost semi-governmental in a way. So, Hindustan Times reported, that the Pacific, so basically, the gist of this, I'll just give you the shortcut without having to read all this, is essentially this U.S. Pacific Fleet Chief Admiral John Aquilino, basically what he's telling everyone, yo man, you guys have to pay attention because the Chinese have developed these aircraft carriers, and the Chinese have been building these islands like mad. But I do want to read this one. This line here is very, very funny. This is just so effective. I know when I read this, I'm like, I was like thinking, China is kind of like right now kind of National Socialist with Chairman Z. And, that's kind of Nazi. So, like, no to China. But then when I read this sentence, I was like, wait a second, I'm totally wrong about China. Trying to intimidate the Indians with the threat of Chinese aircraft carriers, the U.S. Naval Admiral aimed to sow discord between China and India and find an excuse to work with India to contain China. It sounds like, what? I would have believed that was written in like a Winnie the Pooh book. Oh, no, he didn't. Winnie the Pooh book. Winnie the Pooh book. Winnie the Pooh book. Little side note here. Chairman Z would classify Winnie the Pooh reference as hate speech. And most of China at this point would probably agree with him. And remember that right now the Democratic Party has... basically, I think all of its candidates have in one way, shape, or form advocated for some form or degree of hate speech laws. So remember, hate speech laws is what Chairman Z thrives on. That's when you're talking hate speech laws, you're talking Chairman Z. Chinese state media urge tougher line on Hong Kong, News 24. Yeah. Okay, this is French media outlet. Chinese state-run media on Monday called for a tougher line on democracy protests in Hong Kong after a weekend of violence following Beijing's plans to tighten control over the semi-autonomous city. Hardcore demonstrators in the financial hub smashed the windows of the official Xinhua news agency's regional bureau on Saturday, capping another weekend of unrest that also saw scores of arrests and a gruesome attack on a pro-democracy lawmaker. Intensifying violence in Hong Kong calls for tougher line to restore order, the state-run China Daily, an English mainland newspaper, said in an editorial. So I don't know what that means, but, the Chinese government doesn't have to invade Hong Kong. It just has to invade it bureaucratically. One bureaucrat at a time from the mainland over to Hong Kong. That's how they do it. But whatevers. These guys are fighting or losing. They're done. They're toasties. They need to get the heck out of there, and we need to take them in, because these people are smart, and they will love America. And I'd love to have them. Make them American citizens as quick as possible. We need their minds. They're awesome. A lot of creativity in Hong Kong. Tremendous amount of creativity going on. Very, very dynamic place. I would love to have Hong Kong just come on over to America. We'll set you up, man. And then y'all do what y'all do, and we all gonna have a good time. More Americans, yeah. I like that. That would be great. All right, so with that, we're going to get set to go to the next part. We're going to go... Now, this section here, I'm not going to lie to you, this is the most difficult section for Freeqo to get through. This is the section where I really want to... Because I see things and I want to say things, and this ain't the place. This isn't what I want to do here. I may do those things in other places, but not here. So this is a minefield when I go through this part. And this is news fire. Although sometimes there is some fun in here, but not often. This is the grim place, the news fires. This is the poop of the world, man, with some exceptions. Well, this one kind of I don't know what this means. I don't put a lot of stock into what this means. I think this might be... I mean, there might be some meat to this. We'll see. But I'll just read it here. U.S. woos Asia with plan to rival China's Belt and Road, ABC News. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross says the U.S. will invest and trade more in Asia as it rolls out an American plan to support sustainable projects in Asia. The plan, announced at a U.S. business forum in Bangkok, is meant to rival China's own multi-million-dollar Belt and Road infrastructure program. Listen, man, okay, that is... I'm just going to say this. I mean, I'm on America's side here. Only not for any moral reasons or ideational reasons, just for practical reasons of myself living in this land and whatnot. But, I mean, I wish that both the U.S. and China would not do any Belt and Roads. I would love a lot less of the intrusion of, I call it the McDonald'sing of the universe, and or the world, or whatever. Well, the universe. This is our only universe that we know, such as that is. But anyway, I would prefer that not to happen. I would prefer more local autonomy, local diverse expressions and explorations than China coming in and stamping the world with its templates and the U.S. continuing to stamp the world with its templates. So I think this is a really cool story as far as, well, from what will certainly be a very interesting historical perspective, as these two, well, America is in some ways holding on to its colonies. It's yet still trying to expand into other places. And China is trying to take its turn being the colonizer. And, I mean, I wish neither one of them were doing that, but we'll see. I'll say so far the Belt and Road has been a mixed bag for China. China has done very well when it's dealt with countries, as far as I've seen, with harbors. It's gotten a lot of really, really sweet deal, and a number of nations where they've gotten some, you know, they've done what the U.S. has done, which is loan people money or loan nations money that they can never pay back, and then you pretty much own the nation. Yeah, China's been doing that very effectively, but I think China, it's kind of new as far as this world colonization kind of thing is concerned, and it's a little aggressive, even by American standards, a little aggressive. But anyway, we'll probably have many opportunities to talk more about that. I'm going to stay on point. Remember, these are just headlines. These are just headlines, Mr. Freeqo. Yemen's government. Separatists sign deal to stop infighting, from ABC News. Yemen's internationally recognized government has signed a power-sharing deal deal with Yemeni separatists that are backed by the United Arab Emirates. The deal aims to halt months of infighting between the two groups. They are both part of the Saudi Arabia-led coalition that is fighting Yemen's Houthi rebel group. Saudi Arabia's state TV broadcast Tuesday signing ceremony in the Saudi capital Riyadh. That's where Yemen's president Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi has been in exile since 2014 when the Houthis took control of the Yemeni capital. So, yeah, well, this happened. So, looks like, I guess, two of the splinter groups have come together, and it's the Saudi groups. So this strengthens the Saudi hand significantly, I'm assuming, to the degree to which the deal actually lasts. That's another matter altogether. I don't know the on-the-ground situation there. I don't have that kind of intel. Okay. And if I did, I wouldn't be able to share it. China says it will perfect system for choosing Hong Kong leader. Reuters. Yes, I do this sometimes. I try to get some related stories together. Short orders. The Chinese Communist Party said it would perfect the system for choosing the leader of Hong Kong after months of street protests demanding democracy and denouncing what critics see as Chinese meddling in the former British colony. Well, yeah, because they had an agreement they're not supposed to be meddling in their affairs until like 2047. But China sees all that glitter and gold, like, I want that big old booty now, baby. I want to integrate that into me. Come on. China's like Borging Hong Kong. I already talked, earlier. They're Borging them from without and from within, but they will never need to, and there's like no scenario. China does not need to invade Hong Kong. They already have it, basically. The Chinese Communist Party said it would perfect the system for choosing the leader of Hong Kong after months of street protests demanding democracy and denouncing what critics see as Chinese meddling in the former British colony. The party said in a statement it would support its special administrative region of Hong Kong, which returned to China in 1997, and not tolerate any separatist behavior, either there or in neighboring Macau, an ex-Portuguese colony that was handed back to Chinese rule 2 years later. China's like, yo, man, this is mine. I'm taking this back. And I was like, yeah, well, it is. No, that's all a lie. Might does not make right, but might makes reality. That's the cold hard truth. So if China has no right to any land, no one has any right to any land per se. Might makes reality, but it's very good if we have some ideational constructs that we all kind of really deeply hold that lower our opportunity for conflict, because if these ideational constructs alone are enough for us to respect each other's space, as it were. Anyway, that's good, Paul. You just charge ahead with the universe. We're going to get to the next segment here. And that is, I like to do this. This is Newslight. So I like to put this right after Newsfire because, man, hopefully we get a little fun candy stuff. And there's a little weird story. This was just weird. This one's a weird story. I don't know what to make of this story. You tell me. Barge stuck above Niagara Falls for 100 years finally moves, from Sky News. A barge which has been stuck in the rapids above Niagara Falls for more than 100 years has been moved by a Halloween storm. The boat, which grounded in shallows on the Canadian side in 1918, briefly broke loose as the river above the falls was battered by high winds and rained on Thursday, the Niagara Parks Commission said. The rusty iron scow moved about 50 meters, 164 feet downstream before becoming lodged again, according to the Washington Post. And you know what? I'm gonna get a little close up of the. That's you can see that little bargey barge. Oh, that's, you suck. That's not right. Anyway, there's the barge. Pretty cool. I'm weird. I mean, look like freedom. Finally, you get that RIP at long last, but nope. Still holding on. Wow, just beautiful. Voyager 2 reaches interstellar space from Science Daily. Researchers at the University of Iowa report that the spacecraft Voyager 2 has entered the interstellar medium. Also known as the ISM, of course it's not. I don't even know why I had to tell you that it's the ISM. Of course it's the ISM. Yeah. And anyway, it's I think it's plasma stuff changed its densities. So it becomes the second human-made object to journey out of our sun's influence following Voyager 1's solar exit in 2012. Alrighty. I don't read. Oh, here we go. Here's a nice quote. Let's just get to the quote. We don't need to read all the scientificamals. If you want to read the scientificamals, you should go to newsalite.com and check out the well, you can click on the links and go to the articles. In a historical sense, the old idea that the solar wind will be gradually whittled away as you go further into interstellar space is simply not true, said Don Gurnett, that guy that wrote stuff, and he's a scientist. We show with Voyager 2 and previously with Voyager 1 that there's a distinct boundary out there. It's just astonishing how fluids, including plasmas, form boundaries. Just it's weirder and weirder and weirder. You know, I want to do something. If I remember this Babble, Library of Babble. Yes. All right. I want to do something here. We're gonna do a search. Let's do a search. Please. All right. Here we go. All right. Now I want you to observe something. Let's go back to this. We're gonna copy this right here. Now Babble, this Babble thing, this thing has produced all kinds of combinations and matriculations and rambulations, and basically if you do a search for a block of text of up to 3,200 characters, I hope I didn't pick too much, you will find a string of it, perhaps even more, in this Babble, and it's always right. I might make this a regular feature of the show. I've done this in other shows that I've done, so there we've taken this excerpt from an article, and we're going to do a search. There you go. Exact match, location. Yeah. There you go. Check this out. There it is. There it is. Chinese state media urge tougher line on Hong Kong. News Chinese state-run media Monday called for a tougher line. Wow, you see. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, I think I might make that a regular feature here of the show. Yeah. I'm gonna leave you up. Yeah. Alrighty, so did we get through all of the stories here? Oh no, we still have one more news alert left. I apologize. I almost missed the last news alert here. Don't want to do that. Alrighty. Renter left without heat after landlord locks the thermostat in a box from Sky News. A renter has been left unable to turn his heating up or get hot water after his landlord locked his thermostat in a clear box. Alan Milsom, 21, had a new thermostat installed, and one day, when he was out, the landlord appeared to enter the property and install a locked cage around it. The London tenant, who works in communications and media, oh, wait a second. Is this a journo? Shared a picture of the thermostat on Twitter, and it went viral, with many sharing their own landlord stories. All right, this is worth investigating a little bit more here. Okay. I accept. I love you. Thank you for cookieing me. Folks, it was better for me to turn off that microphone than to have you hear me cough. This is one of the reasons why I do the background music too, because you got the background music and you gotta cue out for some reason. The music, it just, it's just a placeholder. Renter left without heat after landlord. Okay, so here we go. So who is this renter? Who wrote this story? I like knowing who people. No, we don't have a name. Nobody has a name. So this is Alex Milsom. All right, Alex Milsom. Let's see. And we're going to go away from you now. We're going to go to our ducky. Bringing up the ducker. You know what? Let's change the music, though. Let's go with pioneering music. Yeah, let's go with that. No, let's do Newsfire. There we go. Yeah, because we're investigating. So this is investigating music now, all right? All right. And, aha! Called it! He a journalist. That's probably how this story got carried in the first place. Listen, man, I don't know anything about this, but I'm just going to say in the justice and rage of sphere universe that we live in, I am highly skeptical as to the full story being shown here. Perhaps there is more to this story. Now, this is just a headline, so I'm not going to pursue this story, but methinks, I'm just saying, I mean, the landlord locked his thermostat. I mean, maybe he had a good reason to do so. I'm just saying. I'm nothing. You know what? Moving on, folks. Listen, folks. There's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here at all. We're moving on. We've gotten to this part of the show where we're going to, well, yeah, we're gonna. I think we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna do the top story from each of these sites. No stories, I talk a little bit longer. So, well, let me get that queued up here, and I have this little puppy in place, and I'm gonna go to the breakage there. I don't want to start with the music here. All right. So I'm gonna take a tiny bit of a break here and get ready for the second half of this confabulation. Alrighty. Well, about ready to get started back up here. And we have three stories that we're gonna talk about. And we'll see how far along we get. If we get through these stories faster, then I have plenty of other stories to talk about. So we're going to start with... So these are the featured stories for each of these three sites of pioneeringnews.com, newsfire.tv, and newsalike.com. We're going to start with Pioneering News. Atomic level imaging may enable metals with unprecedented properties, SciTech Daily. You gotta love a title like that, right? Unprecedented properties? You have me at unprecedented. But do continue. A team of researchers at the Georgia Institute of Technology has developed a new process that could help guide such efforts. Their approach involves building an atomic resolution chemical map to help gain new insights into individual high-entropy alloys and help characterize their properties. In a study published on October 9, 2019 in the journal Nature, the researchers described using energy dispersive X-ray spectroscopy to create maps of individual metals in two high-entropy alloys. This spectroscopy technique, used in conjunction with transmission electron microscopy. Man, I cannot pronounce these words. Not today, man. This is not a science word pronouncing kind of day for me. Detects X-rays emitted from a sample during bombardment by an electron beam to characterize the elemental composition of an analyzed sample. The maps show how individual atoms arrange themselves within the alloy, allowing researchers to look for patterns that could help them design alloys emphasizing individual properties. So it detects X-rays emitted from a sample during the bombardment by an electron beam. I'm trying to figure out what this means, folks, because, like I said, I do tell you, I aggregate it, and then I read it and analyze it in the live. Like, I don't do any preparation. It's like a discovery process. So, they detect the X-rays emitted from a sample during bombardment by an electron beam to characterize the elemental... I don't even understand that sentence. Do you guys understand that sentence? Let's go to the article. Let's try to get... I may have... You know what? I'm... You know, usually I do read the excerpts when I pick them, and I try to pick good excerpts, but sometimes I don't pick the best excerpt. And I don't think I did here, because I didn't pick the excerpt that really gets to the heart of it. Let's see what it says here. Most alloys used in engineering applications have only one primary metal, such as iron in steel or nickel in nickel-based superalloys, with relatively small amounts of other metals, said Ting Zhu, a professor to the George W. Woodruff School of Mechanical Engineering at Georgia Tech. These new alloys that have relatively high concentrations of 5 or more metals open up the possibility of unconventional alloys that may have unprecedented properties. But this is a new compositional space that has not been explored, and we still have a very limited understanding of this class of materials. See, that is the excerpt I should have picked. So that's why I got confused. Most of the time, though, yes, I don't really want to talk about it. I just want to move on. I apologize. My failures, please. We're going to move on, okay, everybody? We're all just going to move on and forget that any of that happened. So the gist of it is essentially they're going to be able to potentially design... I mean, they don't even know. I have my dream of my smart skin. This is probably going to go a long way towards making something like that happen. The thing is, again, we have to be working on this outside of the corpospheres. This guy's in the corposphere, so this is all getting IP'd and locked up. Sacred knowledge that only the corpos can have. Not to sound conspiratorial, because, you know, my name is Freeqo, because, you know, that can't be conspiratorial. You know, I'm going to... yeah, I think I'll do... No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm doing it. Doing it live. Researchers discover novel process microbes used to harvest electrons. Wow. So, I did read this one, and I think I do have a good excerpt here. This is the microbes don't have mouths, so how do they get their nutrients, and apparently they use or not. They use electrons. So here, this is from phys.org. Bacteria don't have mouths, so they need another way to bring their fuel into their bodies. New research from Washington University in St. Louis reveals how one such bacteria pulls in electrons straight from an electrode source. The work from the laboratory of Arpita Bose, assistant professor of biology and arts and sciences, was published November 5th in the scientific journal MBio. The molecular underpinning of this process has been difficult to unravel until our work. This is mostly due to the complex nature of the proteins involved in this process, but now, for the first time, we understand how phototropic microbes can accept electrons from solid and soluble substances. And then this other doctor said, I was excited when we found that these phototropic bacteria use a novel processing step to regulate the production of key electron transfer protein involved in this process. This study will aid in designing a bacterial platform where bacteria can feed on electricity and carbon dioxide to produce value-added compounds such as biofuels. So you're talking about, see, I wanted to build that up. You're talking about, you're talking about microbes that could eventually be like the fuel in your hovercraft, hover. People will have hoverbobbers one day. Dude, if that ever happens, y'all know I'm a time traveler. Y'all know Freeqo is a time traveler. If the, it's like, 10, 15 years from now, everybody's, yo, do you have a hoverbobber? Ooh, of course I have a hoverbobber. I wouldn't be seen with that one. Would you be seen with that one? No, wouldn't. Without a hoverbobber. That's all I got. That's the whole shtick. It's just me saying hoverbobber with an accent. Military robot creators look to add more autonomy, soldier collaboration. Robotics Business Review. Future military robots will need intelligence, perception, and robustness, said this doctor. And that doctor, who's a dean of a school and a director of stuff, said they must be able to optimally utilize whatever processing power they have at any given time and be able to discern when it makes sense to approach a target via a less than optimal route to avoid enemy contact the same way a soldier does. Robots in the future will require less soldiers' oversight as possible, so you want to give war fighters leverage. We're talking about autonomous killing machines. That's just something that is not... I don't know if that's a good idea, Chief, buddy. By the way, people should be working on their own robots, their own autonomous robots. Not just governments. Everybody needs to have autonomous robots. Some people are, they talk about the Second Amendment. Like, I'm for Second Amendment. Now, of course, automatic weapons. Oh, that's crazy. I want nuclear armed autonomous robots for everyone. I want everyone to have at least 3. Then and only then will I sleep at night, knowing I'm safe. Until then, there's always going to be imbalances of power that create opportunities for real killers to take advantage of. But anyway, not going to get into that. It currently takes 2 soldiers to operate a robot, and we'd like that to be none. And then we'd like the robots to kill the soldiers. And then we're like, dudes, we could just have like robots that could fill all the roles of what the Poors did. We don't even need the Poors anymore. Dude, it would really cut down on healthcare. Healthcare costs would plummet. Seriously? Seriously, dudes, we can do this. We can do this. I'm just kidding. No one would ever do that to us. All right, now this is where say a little prayer. Say a little prayer for me as I dive into. You know where I'm going, don't you? This is a tough story. This one is a real difficult story to process. So many high-flung narratives that are ready to pounce on this and exploit this, and then also bury it. I don't want to do either. Talking about this story, this is Newsfire, so Newsfire tends to cover the big stories, the stories I'm least interested in. But in this case, this one, at least 9 Americans killed in Mexican highway ambush. I'm sure we're going to find out a whole lot about the Mormon community and all that stuff and all the wars of information that'll spew out of this. At least 9 U.S. citizens, including 6 children, were killed in what local media described as a highway ambush in the Mexican border state of Sonora late Monday, a family member told NBC News. The dead included 8-month-old twins, said Kendra Lee Miller, who is related to many of the victims. Some of the 8 survivors, all children, sustained serious injuries. Miller added that the victims lived in Matora, which is, so I don't know if I wouldn't do. This is a story that you guys are going to hear a lot from a lot of places, all the details, and that's why I don't know necessarily, like for this show, that I need to take so much of that angle and talk about the particulars so much as the difficult, what this may or may not show. And that is, of course, our red hats. Which ones? MAGAs. They'll take advantage of this and trump this up, so to speak. Heighten it and play on people's fears. So, this is why we need this wall. We need this wall now. And then other people on the other side were like, we need to pay attention to this. This is a serious, well, it could be potentially a serious escalation. I think it is. I'm going to wager that when you target women and children, that's a serious escalation. That's very, very bad. You're pretty much you DGAF out the gigging, and you have no worries whatsoever that the state will do anything to stop you. Possibly. I don't want to overhype this because I don't know the reality. Like, what were the? I mean, there's no way around it that you just can't walk away from this. You can't walk away from 6 children getting killed. Just because it's white and it's Mexican. I don't even know what. I mean, we're assuming. I mean, I think we have strong reason. I'm assuming to believe. Let's go. Okay, let's. Right there. 9 people, and willing. Okay, I really don't know. You know what? I'm not gonna try to go down this road. This is. Look. There's 2 of the people that were victims here. Dawn Langford and Trevor. Yeah. So, in this land, the people who continue to call for open borders, you just can't do that. You can't have an open border in the land if this isn't just this is not isolated. That journalists get killed regularly, government officials get killed. This is a violent land. You can't ignore that for the sake of your political narrative. And that's what the Democrat Party is pretty much doggedly committed to, because it hurts Trump. I'm not saying, by the way, in any way, shape, or form that rounding up human beings in the middle of the night with ice is a good thing. I'm not supporting it. I don't support that at all. But you, unless you're willing to come join me, and let's try to do something in a consensual path rather than this coercive enterprise governance model. But so long as we have this coercive enterprise governance model, you have to secure your borders. I don't know if you need a wall, but you need secure borders. You can't let people just walk in and out of the United States of America in a land in which journalists and government officials and now women and children are being killed. Well, I know women have been killed with regularity in Mexico. So the killings are pretty widespread. And you just can't open your borders to a land that has that going on. You just can't. Not unless you just don't really care about what happens to the human beings on the other side of that. Because you're putting them all at risk. And the other side of that narrative is this is going to be, I mean, that's a concern. That's a risk. That's something that should be monitored. But most of the folks that are coming over from Mexico to America, they're not the drug dealers, they're not the violent ones, they're the people trying to get away from it. They're probably the kind of people that we want. So I don't want to in any way, shape, or form, and this is the danger with a story like this. On one hand, you'll have, well, listen, this could be used by racists, so we have to bury this and not talk about this. No, we can't do that. We have to talk about this. This is serious. We who live in this land, this is a serious thing to now consider. We can't just ignore this. We have to. Now, when I say it's serious, I mean, we should be circumspect and actually, like, try to figure out what statistical proportions we're dealing with, and whether, it's kind of like the story I did yesterday, that white nationalism is a problem in America. It's a legitimate threat, but it's not anywhere, shape, or form anywhere close to having any real power in America. The most that it's in danger of is producing localized violence, and so far it looks like it's killed. There's I don't know if it's last year or what, 39 people have been killed by white nationalists, which this is a lot. It's something you should pay attention to, but you don't call that a crisis. You don't call that an emergency. So is this indicative of a crisis or an emergency in Mexico? My assumption, which may or may not be true, is that it is more not an emergency, not even maybe a crisis, but something that might be walking towards crisis, something that now bears some serious looking at for actual security reasons. So then you would circumspectly look at this and figure out how much of this is a real legitimate threat that we should really consider locking things down, securing the border, and how much of it is we just got to make sure that we have secure monitoring of the border for the most part, and secure tracking of people going in and out. And don't necessarily need a whole bunch of restrictions regarding the ease with which you let people go in and out. But you do have some restrictions, and you do want to make sure you know who's going in and out. Something like that. But unfortunately, there are people that are kind of using this crisis, if it is a crisis, on the quote unquote right. They're kind of using. I don't really believe that most of them are racist, but this is a race baiting kind of. It's like a subliminal race baiting kind of thing. So there is that element to this, but then on the other side there is again, if there is concern, if there is real threat, we don't ignore that just because it might actually give voice to the racists. We're not going to live like that. We have to figure out what's best for all of us, not what's best for everyone's competing narratives and subliminals and connotations and ramifications. History isn't racist. It just is. And then it really isn't, because then what real history really is, it's a palimpsest at best of what happened. Top stories here. Poll. I really like these two stories, like right next to each other. 59% say Trump's interactions with Ukraine neither illegal nor wrong. From Breitbart. So right-leaning, it's one poll. There's, don't know anything else. About 6 out of every 10 U.S. adults, or 59%, believe President Donald Trump's interactions with Ukraine that triggered the impeachment probe amount to something unethical but not illegal or nothing wrong at all, according to a recent poll. The poll conducted by the Associated Press, whatever, I'll just say the Associated Press, or Newark Center for Public Affairs. I hate saying words sometimes. Good show when you don't like saying words. Actually, I have a migraine right now. That's the problem. But I'm doing this. And released on Friday, revealed that 29% believe Trump's interactions with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are unethical but not illegal. And then, right next to that, Senate beginning preparation for an impeachment trial from CNN. While senators await the House of Representatives to move into the public phase of their impeachment inquiry, aides and members are beginning to prepare for a likely Senate trial. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are cautious. There are no articles of impeachment, and the House hasn't voted to impeach the president. But the logistical undertaking of a Senate impeachment trial isn't an easy lift and can't snap into action overnight, leading to conversations that have begun in even small ways. Talks are underway between Senate aides and even Supreme Court Justice Chief John Roberts' team over simple things like when Roberts' office will be during trial, one Senate aide told CNN. The last time the Senate did this was the 1990s for the trial of the then President Bill Clinton, when staffers didn't all need their own computers, and the Chief Justice was housed just off the Senate floor in the Senate President's room. So that got the, I don't know, but I don't talk in too much detail about this whole impeachment thing. A lot of places for you to get that information, but because it is just, most of it is nobody did anything wrong or right. It's just you really do have factions which are fundamentally at war with each other, and they're using lawfare at this point. And it's I'll probably say this multiple times. It's a competition for the ultimate legitimacy. Each side is vying to claim the ultimate authority, the ultimate legitimacy, the ultimate rule of law position in the land. One of them has to undo the other. That's just the fundamental reality. And the Democrats are trying to do it by using lawfare to remove a president. That's essentially what this is. It has been from the start. Anyone who has not seen, this is what they did with Scott, what's his face in Wisconsin. I want to say Scott Wolf. Is that his name? But anyway, Wisconsin man. They lawfared him like the whole time he was a governor. It's horrible things that were done. Horrible. And in the end, it was all nothing. Smoke. And this is, I don't know if there's something or not, but most likely not. Because honestly, if there was something, believe you me, they would have been all. Trust me. If they have an opacity that they're telling you makes Trump guilty, they got nothing. The art of language is such that you can put a patina of conspiracy to anything just by assuming someone's motives and intents. Yeah, or I mean that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as the ability to manipulate language and context. And yeah, you have literally see people, journalists that are demanding, and have, I don't know if they still are, but they were at one point literally demanding that the president release all of the transcripts to all of the world leaders that he's ever talked to. And they thought that that was a good thing for America. Like, that's literally sabotage. Like, that's an act of treason to actually do that. Literally, that's what's being done. That's insane. They've all left the plot. I don't know if you guys realize that. That's one of the reasons why I'm not so much interested in trying to figure out the facts of this story so much as I'm trying to figure out who's arresting whom. And it's a hierarchy of arrests so far that I would say at present, Democrats are on the ascent. They have the more legitimate position because they have Giuliani's closest aides in jail. They have arrests. They have actual arrests with people behind jail. And I'm not going to account the Mueller stuff. This is after Mueller that it matters. The Mueller stuff was some patina of civility still left. I'll say some shade of rule of law was still there, but it's gone now. So now it's important who arrests whom. That's pretty much what they don't have any arrests. And I think the problem with Donnie is he is infested with the enemy. All right. Well, it's time to go to a different light. It's time to get a little bit, got something to look forward to here in this first story here from the Newsalites. A posthumous George Michael single will be released on Wednesday. The estate of the late music icon has given permission for the new track, This Is How, to be used for the soundtrack to the forthcoming film Last Christmas, a festive romantic comedy inspired by the music of George and his former band, Wake Me Up. You know what? I can't even sing without getting... Well, actually, I don't really care. I don't care about copyright strikes that try to take the monetization from my zero view videos. And I'm not going to be monetizing these videos even when I get views. So I'm just worried about anything that might mess with, Wake me up before you go. The heck be darned. Zoe said, I was and am. Okay, BBC Radio 2 will give the single its first play on the Zoe Ball Breakfast Show on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. That's, let's see, they do. Okay, 6/11/19. All right, we're going with that. See, I list everything in the very opposite of what they do. I go with the month, the year, the month, and then the date, because that's how you save it in file form. That is easier to track. I mean, for the love of common sense, kids. Zoe said, I was and am a huge Wham and George Michael fan, and even though he is no longer with us, his music remains a joy to us all. Wow. I'm honored to be premiering this previously unheard song from George on my breakfast. I mean, I don't blame her. What's she supposed to say? She's supposed to drop Zen poetry on me or something here? What's she supposed to? Why I gotta be hard on her? You know what? What is the Zoe Ball breakfast show? Can we find that out? Can we look at least see who Zoe Ball looks like? Would you guys like to play along? Let's do this. I mean, I do like to do a little explorations here too. It's not all serious crimes, It's also funny crimes. Okay, now I want to see what she looks like. Little ducky did his job. Okay, there she is. That's the Zoe person. So what do we learn from Zoe? I don't know. I don't want to sit here and break down Zoe. That would be mean. There's the Zoe crew. The Zoe Bell Radio 2 Breakfast Show reveals Give It a Chance. Played fans. Okay. All right, so there's Zoe. Let's see. The BBC Radio, Zoe Breakfast Show. There's the Zoe. Wake up and embrace the day with Zoe. Oh no, she's a morning person. No, Zoe. No, we're done with this. This conversation's over. I don't want any more of that. That was impertinent, Zoe. Impertinent is what I would say that was. Okay. Light-based tractor beam assembles materials at the nanoscale. This is from Science Daily. Researchers at the University of Washington have developed a method that could make reproducible manufacturing at the nanoscale possible. When I talked to you yesterday about my little vascular thing, where you get like little nanobots that just build the elements up, the team adapted a light-based technology employed widely in biology known as optical traps or optical tweezers to operate in a water-free liquid environment of carbon-rich organic solvents, thereby enabling new potential applications. As the team reports in a paper published, unlike the tractor beams of science fiction, which grab spaceships, the team employs the optical tweezers to trap materials that are nearly 1 billion times shorter than a meter. This is a new approach to nanoscale manufacturing, said co-senior author Peter Pawlowski, a UW Associate Professor of Materials Science and Engineering, faculty member at the Molecular Engineering and Sciences Institute and the Institute for Nano-Engineered Systems, and a senior scientist at the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. There are no chamber surfaces involved in the manufacturing process, which minimizes the formation of strain of other defects. All of the components are suspended in solution, and we can control the size and shape of the nanostructure as it is assembled, piece by piece, my friends. Element by element, compound by compound, whatevers. We're getting closer. We're getting closer to my dream, where I order my car, and I can order any kind of car. I can order a 57 Chevy with the customized interior and all kind of tweakings and whatnots, and boom, it'll be no more expensive than any other. Nobody will have a simple design car because it'll cost no extra money for them to have a awesome design car. Okay, it's all about. It's really all about. It's all about moving Freeqo toward that dream. Actually, Freeqo's dream is 53. Buick Skylark convertible, changed a bit. 3D printed plastics with high performance electrical circuits. Science Daily. See, this is another element. Remember, if you're going to print out that car, you need to be able to print out circuits. Rutgers engineers have embedded high performance electrical circuits inside 3D printed plastics, which could lead to smaller and versatile drones and better performing small satellites, biomedical implants, and smart structures. They use pulses of high-energy light to fuse tiny silver wires, resulting in circuits that conduct 10 times more electricity than the state-of-the-art, according to a study in the journal Additive Manufacturing. By increasing conductivity tenfold, the engineers can reduce energy use, extend the life of devices, and increase their performance. And I'm getting closer to smart skin, too! Our innovation shows considerable promise for developing an integrated unit using 3D printing and intense pulses of light to fuse silver nanoparticles for electronics, said senior author Rajiv Malhotra, an associate professor in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering in the School of Engineering at Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Well, wow. I think all in all, time-wise, I did pretty good. I think sometimes I might have a longer show, and I guess not so long a show today. So I like this shorter time, and that's all I got for you guys. These are the stories. So I am not going to be doing a show tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be tweaking some stuff during this time when I would normally be doing the show. But I think that I will be doing a show Thursday, and that show is going to be, I'm going to be shooting to start it at 6 p.m. Like the preparing part, the introductory part, with the little film. You can see that little film thing. Oh, that reminds me. I should go back there. Let me do this. I should do this. All right. I'm on the wrong place there, though. Wait. Oh yeah. Okay. Let me just stop this. Hold on. There we go. We don't need that right now. Okay. So we're gonna go here, and I'll show you the movie here. That's what I want to do. I want to show you the title of the movie, so you can see this is the movies that I picked. These are just what do you call them? Public domain films is what they are. So this public domain film here, we're just going to move that up, and you can see that this is Assignment Outer Space, 1960. It's a public domain movie. I mean, come on, that's a great movie. It's like, yo, man, we need a movie for the lower matinee cheap seat people. Got something? Yeah, I got some spacesuits in the back from a few movies. I just cobble that crap together, man. Just whatever. Yo, man, what are we gonna call it? Oh, man, it's gonna be like from outer space. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to call this assignment. Hey, let's call it Assignment Outer Space. Nailed it. I didn't even watch the movie, but it's visually, you have to admit, it is visually stunning. That is a work of art. This is 1960, so remember, in 1960, this was ahead of its time. This was advanced. This was like the Star Wars of its time in 1960. I mean, what other movies were there in 1960? Let's just do that. Let's just say what other movies. I guess this is a little bonus footage here. So we're gonna go to the duck. We're gonna go with let's go with top movies of 1960. All right. Let's see top movies of no, the best movies of 1960 by rank. Okay. There we go. Psycho? Whoa, Psycho. That's like amateur. That was like really crudely done. Breathless by Godard. Oh gosh. Oh, this film. Hardly the cinematic wonder of Operation Outer Space. But if you like that sort of highly well done crap, that's your bag. That's your bag. Anyway. But at any rate, you got to give it up for this gang, because they got an assignment. they did it. They got the assignment. They carried through. Says, "Yo, you gonna do this, yo, man? Here's what do you think they made? What do you think this guy made? How much do you think this guy made off this movie? The guy that's behind my invisibility cloak. You see me there? He's you see my cursor there? It's the guy with the little helmet thing on. Helmet head. I think he got like $20, and this dude got a cigarette. And a girl liked him, like from a distance with her eyes. That's what he got. So with that, I hopefully these guys lived long lives and they didn't die horribly. And I just made fun of tragic figures. I apologize in advance if that's the case. I apologize for nothing else. Actually, I don't even apologize for that. Screw you. So yeah. I managed to not use one expletive for this entire show, and I want to thank my studio audience for reminding me of how important all that is. So, that's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you very much for joining us here on Freeqo Talks. I am Freeqo, and this has been Freeqo Talks. We'll see you Thursday.